Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of August 8th through the 14th. And first, as always, I want to just take care of some business here for people who don't make it to the end of the blog. And that is, if you need to get in touch with me for any reason whatsoever, the best way to get me is through my email, matthue823@gmail.com. So if you need a reading, or if you need to get me for classes or for an event, that is the best way to get me. And it's once again matthue823@gmail.com. Now, the Astrological Winds channel is on YouTube every week. And if you have a YouTube account, just become a follower and turn on your notifications, and then you'll know when the blog is posted each week, which is usually Monday. Once in a while it's Sunday. And also, I do post the link on Instagram. So if you have an Instagram account, that's another way that you can be notified. Just look up Astrological Winds channel and you just become a follower. And, the good thing about the Instagram too is that once or twice, 3 times a week, I'll check in on certain days that have a lot of activity going on and make a little comment there too. And that's not video or audio, so you can just read the comment in usually a few seconds, and so you get a little bit of extra if you become an Instagram follower of Astrological Winds channel. And otherwise, it's on all kinds of podcasts. It's on Apple, and it's on Spotify. It is on Reveal. You just have to look up Astrological Winds channel. I think there's about 20 of them that pick it up through Buzzsprout each week. And there's really, no need to actually see a video. It's like usually just me talking to the camera, like today, or once in a while I'll show a chart. So, the podcast, you don't really lose anything on. And then one other place I do post it to is on Facebook. My Facebook account is private, so you have to friend me first, and that's Matthew with 2 T's, Lawton, Lauten. Also, for people who'd like to give a donation, which I know some people like to do, which is very nice and sweet, you're always welcome to do that. My Venmo handle is at, the symbol at, and then Matthew, once again, with 2 T's, a hyphen in the middle, and Lawton, Lauten. So that's just taking care of some business. Now, remember, when you're listening to the blog, if you don't know astrology that well, don't get lost and get caught up on the terms of the astrology. Listen to what the energy is this week, and that's the important thing, for you to know so that you can work with. You don't really need to know why and get yourself confused. Now, if you do know the astrology, that's why I always like to mention it, but I know some people kind of sometimes get caught up in that, and you don't really want to do that and miss the point. So, okay, so this week is a really interesting week. First, for we've got a full moon at 20 degrees Aquarius, and it's locked into a fixed T-square with that Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction from that I mentioned last week. And not only that, we also have Venus still very tightly locked in the T-square that started with its square to Eris yesterday, and its opposite Pluto today. So those two things really dominate, from today, Monday, through basically most of the week, because the sun will not have its exact opposition to Saturn until next weekend. So I think relationships are going to be really interesting and intense this week because of these two things. But and the full moon is very complex for sure. There'll be a lot of challenges in that, but there's also a couple Mars transits at the end of the week that seem to show that, we get through this and that a lot of change and transformation that's beneficial can occur. So it all like kind of really started almost like yesterday, and I mentioned it last week. Yesterday on Sunday, we did have a beautiful Venus trine Neptune, but at the same time, Venus locked into a square with Eris. And of course, Eris squaring Pluto has been one of the big background energies of this year, which I've mentioned many times, causing a lot of chaotic transformation is a good way to describe that. And if you just think about that on all kinds of levels in life, not only in individual life, but also in, society and stuff, that is seemingly a very fitting description of a lot of what's going on. And so Venus is locked in to a T-square, a cardinal T-square with the Eris Pluto square, and the exact opposition to Pluto is today, Monday. So it's very, very intense energy in the relationship zone that we're feeling right now. And so it's really, when Venus is opposite Pluto, it's really hit a critical point. Like a lot of relationships have, hit a point of climax where they have to transform and change into something else in order for them to continue to bring growth to really both parties, whether they're aware of that or not. So and even money and creativity issues, two other things that Venus rules, can come to very much apex points this week where there's a lot of critical tension, and because there's Venus and Pluto involved, there's a lot of emotional tension involved too. It brings up a lot of deep psychological stuff that is not necessarily the easiest thing to deal with. Secrets can be revealed about others that can be highly disturbing and, can completely change or transform the consciousness of a relationship. That's really what happens when Venus and Pluto get together. It brings powerful experiences that change our consciousness individually because of the relationship that's going on. Now, the thing that's interesting, when it's an older relationship, it can be things that are revealed, and and it can be it can be literally secrets and information that you hadn't ever known before that completely changes the picture of the way you look at that relationship. Or it can even be just the inside too, it's inner insights into how the relationship is going. So, but both things are affecting, the consciousness that we have in the relationship. And so that with old relationships can be very difficult, especially if we're, kind of involved in underlying power struggle type stuff, and maybe not being completely honest in some of the intense emotions that we've been feeling about those things. It can really, bring those relationships to a very intense point where they could actually just, implode, or just, have to be separated from or lost or some way like that. Now with newer relationships, it can be more of a compulsive behavior. It can be more of those intense emotions kind of not overwhelming our conscissness to the point where we're really not being discreet enough with the way we're acting, and so we may get like into very intense relationships that end up being these very, like, once again, consciousness changing, but they can be very, very intense experiences and get into seven deadly sin type territory. Um, but on the good side, in an opposition like this, it's, if for people who can get through and accept the changes that are going on in existing relationships, you can really reach these incredibly deep new understandings of one another. And it may not necessarily mean that you are going to, completely go along with what, or where that other person is at. But like there's this deeper understanding between the two of you and still a very deep connection because Venus and Pluto is very kind of dedicated, committed type energy. So like so it can transform relationships like into like this new phoenix rising area too, and very constructive energy can come out of that can bring personal growth to both people and reborn almost a relationship would be a good way to do. And then like it's a powerful energy of commitment together that can really bring a lot of change. Now, interestingly enough, also on Monday there's a sun trine Chiron, and that really shows that there's a chance to really go for that latter choice in existing relationships, to really get benefit out of it, that both people will learn from it. Both people will get some healing done from it. That the transformation that it brings is really a something that's harmonious and flows together, and it goes into this really deep zone that is really like a balm to like a wounding and bringing our consciousness to these really new creative outlet areas too. So it's not only going to affect the relationships, but it's probably going to push us into new creative zones too. So very interesting way to start the week. And if we're conscious of the energy, it's something that we can really have some powerful experiences with others and bring a lot of personal growth. And like I said, with the new relationships, that is a place to be careful because there can be this very strong magnetic connection between others, and it may be meant to be, but you have to be careful about it being very compulsive, even coercive, and just getting us into a place of intensity that might be too much too fast. And you may realize that, in a few weeks and be like, wow, what did I get myself into? So very interesting. But now, and I really think, the full moon, which is on Wednesday, it's a full moon in Aquarius at 20 degrees, and it's locked into a fixed T-square. So we've got another T-square with that Uranus Mars North Node conjunction in Taurus. And then, of course, the sun is in Leo in this. Now, what's interesting, too, because the North Node is down there in the T-square, that means the South Node is on the open end of the T-square, which technically can make it a grand cross, too, although the South Node is not a body in space. So, there's an argument there that it's not really a true grand cross. But that being said, that is that's the configuration we have going on, this fixed grand cross. Now, if we start, when you just think about the full moon, we know this is the sun opposite the moon. Now, the moon is also conjunct Saturn in this one. So it's like it's locked into that Uranus Saturn square that's been going on for the last 2 years, which is very active right now because of Mars being conjunct the Uranus and North Node also being conjunct Uranus in that square. So it's very, very active right now. And now we have both lights, the luminaries, the sun and moon, also activating it in this configuration during this full moon. So it's a very, very tense time, and it's very interesting how this plays out. When you think about the Leo Aquarius axis, it's about creativity, it's the creativity axis. And the sun in Leo, needs some kind of way to express itself, to truly be who it is, to be the person you are, to be the individual, to shine your light, to live your life the way you know it to be. And also to get some kind of recognition for that, to get some kind of like, even really, it's really love, and respect, but the moon in Aquarius is more in this asking that sun in Leo during a full moon, hey, where does all this benefit other people too? Is it too much about the self and not really benefiting other people enough? So the basic tension going on between the sun and moon are basically this self-expression versus like, well, what does that do for others? Or is it just something that's like, just so self-centered that it's missing the point of a lot of what's going on? So it's very interesting. And remember, the moon in Aquarius and Aquarius energy wants to bring, equality across the board. It recognizes that each person has like some unique thing that they can bring into the equation that brings benefit to all. And it stays cool and calm, whereas Leo can have a lot of that playful, zesty energy. So like it's kind of like a really two different ways of approaching this. And so that's where that tension is coming in, just from the full moon itself. And then when you think that the full moon in Aquarius is being ruled by Saturn, and even co-ruled or modern rulership, or what I call more like affinity with Uranus, it's both those planets are involved with the moon and sun. So we have the moon conjunct Saturn, the ruler of the full moon, and it's square Uranus, the other planet that's very much like Aquarian energy. So it's very much in this, but it's interesting, because that there's when you think about Mars and Uranus and the North Node all in Taurus, and then the moon is in Aquarius and it's conjunct Saturn, and even the South Node on the opened end of the T-square in Scorpio, three things that are saying that the answer to a lot of the tension right now is actually kind of taking a step back and slowing down and disciplining and having control, to have some kind of like limits in place, boundaries in place. So that can really take a lot of the, zest out of the Leo part of the equation, but it seems to be saying that, there's something in the past that we can get back to, or look back on, or get wisdom from, to help us get through the tension of the present. and the intense energy of what's going on right now. So the Leo energy might have to like take a little bit of a step back for a little while here and really kind of like take a look back at tradition and past and heritage and allow maybe some of those answers in and kind of like just kind of discipline itself. Really, it's interesting too when you think, and I mentioned this last month too, Saturn is in that semi-square right now with Jupiter, which is like, remember the great conjunction in 2012 when they were conjunct together, and that was when seeds were planted. But like I said last month, they're locked in this semi-square now, which is when a lot of the ideas that we had then are under stress and attack, and you may be questioning whether you can actually pull off a lot of the things that you thought you might you wanted to do then. So there's a lot of things that are frustrating it. There's a lot of things that seem like you take a step forward and then there's two steps back. So it's a very delicate situation that's going on with that. And then you think Saturn in conjuncting the moon too is saying that, just like the Aquarius energy, people are keeping, it's a time when the emotions are not being let out, and they're kind of, people are keeping them closer to themselves. And really, there's a lot of inner emotional talk going on, and that they're not willing to really let themselves go completely out of control. Yet here is Mars and Uranus squaring that energy, and that is very individualistic energy. It's very much like, hey, I need to do my own thing. So it goes back into that Leo energy again of possibly like getting to a point where doing your own thing is causing disruptions, is causing upsets, is causing even accidents from impulsive actions, stressing relationships out once again because, everyone seems to be on their same boat, so that's kind of like feeding back into like a Leo kind of energy, the two squares to Uranus and Mars, where they're like recognizing the ingenuity and the abilities of individuals. But like, if that goes too far, then all of a sudden it's, once again, upsetting behavior to others. And even if we can use, the discipline of the Saturn and the Aquarian energy to keep that stuff in control, it doesn't necessarily mean that other people that we connect or are around with can. And and the nodes being square that prove that when the lights, the sun and moon, are square the nodes, it shows that the individual versus the group or versus others in relationships are at cross purposes with one another, that there's a lot of tension going on, and you're kind of almost stuck in a point between the past and the future. And there's a lot of energy too. There's a lot of energy available for the individual to move forward when we have all this square energy, and it's like wanting people are going to want to act, especially with the Mars Uranus too going on. So it's like it's something that, but there's a cross purpose going on between you and groups and others, that where there's an imbalance, and it can seem like maybe people and circumstances are getting in the way of what you really want to do. The nodes are like part of like our path in life of where we're going from to and where we're going to, or where we're coming from and where we're going to. So it's like we're at this point where it's showing a lot of like relationships, a lot of like things in society have the individual feeling like they're really restricted, and they can really lash out in these situations and really want to take some individual maneuvers, and actions that may be very upsetting to others. So it's a very tricky balance this week with this energy. It really does seem like the full moon is asking for some cooler heads, logical thinking, discipline and focus, and clear boundaries, and yet at the same time somehow being able to show who you are in an individual way, and the importance of your own goals and ambitions and motivations, and somehow trying to find the place of balance once again with others and in groups with your goals and their goals. It's kind of a little tricky tightrope to walk this week, and even that first square of the Venus with the Pluto and Eris, same thing. So you can see what I mean when I started this, is that relationships can go through a lot of different things this week. Now, the full moon is at 20 degrees Aquarius, so opposite the sun at 20 Leo. So look where 20 degrees Aquarius and Leo are in your chart. They're going to be two different opposite houses, and that will be the axis or houses that will be affecting you in your life. And remember, when you have like a grand cross energy kind of going on too, it shows that there's a lot of issues going on. It's not a singular thing. And it can really scatter your energy out. And if you're trying to jump from one thing to another, it may not resolve anything. Many times the key is to focus on one issue. And as you unravel that one, the other ones will start to unravel also, because they actually are probably all connected underneath. So look in your chart where that 20 degrees Aquarius Leo is, and you'll see what houses and what part of life it's affecting for you. And then if you have any planets from 19 to 21 degrees, they'll be in aspect to that full moon also, and will color the energy. And as I've always said before, sometimes I forget to mention, if someone needs a quick little reading on a full moon or something, for 10 minutes or so, just get in touch with me for probably like $20 or so. I can give you a quick reading on the full moon for you. But it's matthue823@gmail.com. So just a couple other things. So Thursday, Venus goes into Leo. So that's kind of interesting too. It's going to switch the energy and start to move the energy in another direction with relationships. And so when Venus goes into Leo, it's very fun-loving. It wants to be with its friends. It wants to have a good time. It wants to be entertaining. It's very an externalized, outgoing Venus. And one of the things about Venus, though, is funny. It likes to kind of look good. So it likes, sometimes the people it wants to hang out with, like whoever you define that as looking good in your world, is who you'll actually want to make most of your connections with. But it really is like a charming, fun-loving Venus. Its main lesson is at times it has to learn to compromise in relationships. It's very, very much one of those Venuses that goes for what it wants, and sometimes is not very sensitive to the others around it. So, and like I said, the week's going to end with two really nice Mars transits that I think, as we go through the full moon T-square and the Venus Pluto Eris T-square, show that, we'll probably get some lessons and downloads and be able to make some interesting changes. So the first one is also on Thursday. Mars is going to sextile Neptune, and that gets us really sensitive to the world around us, and it gives us this more detached attitude about things. So maybe going through this emotional turmoil, the full moon will be like a cathartic release that brings us like more detachment in many ways. And, it gives us a great perception of others. And we're really into like doing what, is like what I call like higher love acts, charitable acts, unconditional loving kind of acts, wanting to help others out, having like a spirit of comradeship. And a lot of that may have a spiritual drive behind it too, but also wanting to bring that out into society. And so like and it is a good time too, if you have time, to go off and have some space by yourself and get into a meditative kind of zone, doing slow kind of body type exercise and work would be very helpful, like, yoga and massage and, meditation, things like that would all be very helpful. But you can get a lot of insight when you like calm the mind in that time and really understand how to approach a lot of your goals in a very enlightened state of mind. So a very, very interesting sextile there. And then on the weekend, Mars trines Pluto. And that is just, I've always loved that aspect because it really brings transformation in that flows. It almost is like, okay, I see what I need to do, and everything's kind of lined up in this proper way, and I can now initiate all these changes that I want, and everything falls kind of into place. So it's a great transformation on a positive level that can occur. And it's like, it's a time when you have a lot of power in your environment and your surroundings and the ability to change it and transform it. And remember, with Pluto, it always is asking, hey, bring that out to the others around you too. Share the benefit of this positive change that you have, this personal growth that's going on all different levels. Bring that out, and the success will start to exponentiate and really pick up. And it gives us a really clear vision of what our objectives and goals are, and the desire and will to work hard to succeed in doing that, and to have like a very enthusiastic and long-term vision, the ability to stick to something for a long time and put a lot of effort into it. So that brings us a lot of personal power, brings benefit to those around you, and aligns us properly with the goals that we need to be moving towards right now in our lives, to bring transformation, creative transformation into our lives, which brings self-growth, success on all levels, gains on all levels, and an expansion of like really our consciousness and evolution on all levels. So really an interesting week. I think, like there'll be some stormy weather to go through, but, having the discipline to get through that and be willing to face some of the intensity that might come up in relationships and situations, and, being honest about where your boundaries and everything are, can really set up some transformative energy by the end of the week that is very self-empowering. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. It is on every week on YouTube. If you have a YouTube account, become a follower, turn on your notifications, and you'll always get the message. Also, it's available on all kinds of podcasts through Buzzsprout. Just, look it up. Astrological Winds channel, and you don't really need to see the video. It's really listening to what I'm saying that's most important. So Spotify, Apple, iCast, and all kinds of different ones have it. Just look it up. Also, like I said, I do have the Astrological Winds channel up on an Instagram account where I do some additional stuff, but I post the link and I do some additional daily stuff that's just comments. It's not a video or audio, so that's always fun. So once again, just become a follower on Instagram, or you can Facebook me, Matthew, 2 T's, Lawton, Lauten. Also, I do post it on Facebook. That is a private account. So the best thing you guys can do for me, since it's a free service, is to pass it on to someone else as soon as you're done today. If you'd like to give a donation, that's cool too. No amount is too small. My Venmo handle is at, the symbol at, then Matthew with 2 T's hyphen Lauten. Best way you guys can help me out, though, is I've been a professional astrologer for over 20 years, and I give readings of all types: natal birth chart, predictive astrology, which I recommend every year around your birthday when you get a new solar return chart, is a great time to get your annual weather report. Just like this blog I just do it for you for the year so that you know the energy you're working with that year. Relationship charts, I know that a lot of people are interested in them. Children's charts, elections, if you're looking for the timing of an event and you for best success. Horary questions, or basically when you have an emotionally charged issue that you just can't seem to get the answer on. They cannot be frivolous. They really have to be distressing to get some kind of, but we can look at a chart. And then the fixed star readings too, which is like for people who are kind of looking into deeper levels of soul purpose. And then another popular one, a lot of folks have been asking for relocation, astrocartography. So a lot of different kind of things. I have classes, and people ask me about that occasionally. There are 5 classes already up and available for beginning astrology on Dropbox. They are $25 a piece, and I give you access to them. If people are, continue to want those classes, I will continue to make more of them, but they are available. And I also am available for any kind of event. If you're looking for some kind of lecture, question and answer, mini readings, things like that, all these things, email me is the best way to go. MATTHUE 823 at gmail.com. That's MATTHUE 823 at gmail.com. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. It'll be an interesting week going through this full moon, but I think there'll be some positive payoff at the end. Until next week, I'll see you all, and just work with the energy and try to continue to bring positive transformation into your life and those around you.